Have you ever had one of those gut feelings that turned out to be right? Or wondered if your intuition might actually be trying to guide you to your next manifestation? Today's conversation is going to make you think a little differently about how manifestation really works. My guest, Linda Eastburn, has spent decades blending worlds of business, real estate investing, intuition, and quantum manifestation. She shares incredible stories of receiving intuitive downloads that have led to life-changing opportunities, and explains why she believes manifestation isn't just about positive thinking, but about learning to focus your energy in a completely different way. So if you've ever questioned whether those little nudges that you're feeling are real or wondered how to trust your intuition more, you're going to love this conversation. Here we go. Welcome to the Manifestation and Money Podcast, the show where we tackle the taboo topics of money and manifestation. I'm your host, Jenny Schultz, former 9-to-5 grinder who ditched the status quo and went all in on creating a life I love. Yes, I use manifestation. Yes, I took action. And yes, I created a 7-figure net worth before turning 40. Every week, I'll bring you inspiring stories with money mavens and manifestation masters. From learning how to make more, save more, and grow your wealth to unlocking the power of manifesting your dream life. I am so excited to play in this space with you. Let's jump into creating a life you love. Welcome to the Manifestation and Money Podcast, Linda.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
I am pumped to chat with you. You have such an intriguing background, and I'm going to start this off just by letting you share a little bit with the listeners about who you are and what your story is.
Well, I started out as a real estate investor, owned a real estate company, did a lot of real estate investing in the 80s all the way through till today. So I'm still doing that. But I've also been an intuitive, which kind of takes the best of two worlds. It's a business world combined with intuition or an intuitive perception world. And those two worlds often don't combine well together because they are sort of the personalities of very different individuals. The intuitive is often the artist, the one that doesn't get into the throes of money and business, day-to-day life, and all of the intricate workings of what it takes to really run a business. But for some reason, I've managed to combine those two things and been able to utilize that intuitive side of myself very highly in the business world. So that's part of my background. And about 1990, I started really developing my intuition to the degree that it could happen on command rather than to just be an idle every now and then thing that pops through. And so I took that and utilized that into yet another business. I still did the real estate investing, but I also did intuitive courses, intuitive classes, traveled all over the country, developed a worldwide clientele, learning how to do this intuitive part of business or just intuition for day-to-day life. So I did that business as well. I'm still doing both of those things today, even though I've slowed down a lot. I'm in my 70s now. So I've slowed down quite a bit as far as the travel and the real estate investing. It's kind of leveled off a little bit at this point, but still something that keeps me alive and well and going in life. So my last book, Spy Your Way to Power and Success, is about how to manifest using your intuition in a business environment or just in day-to-day life, either way. But that's something that took a while because I had to back engineer many of the things that I had done in life. And how is it that I knew in advance that those things were going to be opportunities sitting out there? That was how that book was born. That's the last of 4 books that I've written.
Fascinating. Yes, when I was digging through, you were talking about your newest book of manifesting at a quantum level. And I was like, ooh, those words together are intriguing, right? So if you are teaching yourself to manifest on command or having more control over your manifestations using your intuition, what does that look like?
I'll give you an example. And this was one of the stories that caused me to actually write the book because I recognized if I could bottle that and give it to people, I mean, it would be phenomenal. Back in the 90s, I was just starting out doing a lot of real estate investing, and I was fairly new at that. My husband and I were. So we didn't have a lot of cash on hand, but we would often go out and look at various properties that were going to pop up for sale or auctions or things like that. There was this farm. It was a horse ranch, 222.22 acres. I remember all the twos in there. It was a 3-story house, 8,000 square feet, absolutely picturesque. This thing had sold probably 3 times for over $1 million. So it was a really picturesque, beautiful place. And we're talking about prices in the 90s in Missouri. So, yeah, that may seem low today, but at that time, that was not a low price. So we go out and we go to the open house on a Sunday. It's going to auction in 3 weeks. We go through the house, we're driving over the land, and all of a sudden I had this, what I call intuitive download. And I just blurt out, this is going to sell for 300,000. My husband looks at me and says, well, if it sells for 300,000, we need to buy it. But we didn't have 300,000. We were going to have to get a loan in order to accomplish that. So we go to the bank, we qualify for the loan. That wasn't a problem, but we didn't even have the down payment to go on. We were going to have to come up with that within 3 weeks. 2 people contacted us out of the blue. One person wanted to buy a small Quonset hut garage we owned. Another one wanted to buy a small storage shed we owned. And both of them wanted to close that week for cash. Now never happened to us before. We've been doing real estate investing for a while. So we had those 2 closings. We had just the right amount of money for the down payment. We go to the auction day. There were several people there and we're bidding. My husband has the bid at 300,000. Auctioneer says sold, and we own the house at 300,000. So I'm thinking, okay, and we're talking about $1 million investment for 300,000 here. Today, that would be about a $5 million investment at this point. So looking at that particular event, I'm thinking, okay, I knew it was going to sell for 300,000 in advance. How did I know that? How did I manifest the ability to buy this? How did those 2 people come to us and just offer us to buy these properties that gave us the down payment? All of those things were remarkable synchronistic moments in life that enabled us to get ahead. Now, this wasn't a solitary event. I mean, there were many times I would know things in the future. So the SPY book, Spy Your Way to Power and Success, which stands for Super Powered Insight, that book came from back engineering how to do this. And I worked with a physicist, and a lot of people look at the law of attraction for manifesting. And granted, that is indeed a valuable tool. But this goes 2 or 3 steps deeper into that process and understanding how our body is kind of a bio engineering system for light. And it's really the light. It's actually the light that does the work. So you have to understand what creates more light in your energy field in order for manifestation to happen. Because how many times have we just tried to attract something, try to think about something, visualize it, and then it doesn't happen, right? Happened to me a lot before I understood this process. But once I understood how to generate more light, how to focus the light, how to create like a laser-like beam, a coherent light beam toward what it is that I want, manifestation became much smoother, much easier, and much faster. So that's what the book is about, and that's what the whole course is about. I have a basic human development course that goes with the SPY book, helping people to understand how to utilize this essence of yourself. It's just a natural part of who you are, but we have not learned how to harness that into a manifestation process.
I often get feelings of like, am I trying to manifest what I physically want right now, or am I somehow something from the future is pulling me towards my manifestations? If you're getting an intuitive download as you're driving down the road, knowing what is that future price is going to be, to me, you are somehow connecting with your future version of you that has that thing, that has that piece of information, right?
Yeah, I think that it's a potential out there anyway, because the future isn't quite set in stone, I don't think. But I think when we can connect with the future, and I think the past, present, and future are really a unit that sort of works together. And it isn't by accident that that piece of information probably came into my awareness, because we were real estate investors. My thought, my intention, my light source is always going out to build this business as a solid foundation under my feet for security and financial support. I mean, that was just a strong, strong part of my energy field. So I'm always looking, for things that are going to create that dynamic in the business. So I've already connected with everything and anything in my future, which might be a potential to help that happen. This one just downloaded that information to me. Now, as time went on, there were so many times that I would just have this download and know there's a rental subdivision over here that's going to come up for sale. And then we start looking and see if we could find it. And sure enough, there it would be. It was just one of those things that would happen to us a lot. I'm not investing as readily as I was before, but a few years ago, my mother had a stroke and she moved in with me. And in order to get her back to the farm with my dad, who was also going to need some care, my mother was paralyzed on one side. She had to have 24/7 care. So they wanted to remain on their farm if they possibly could, but 24/7 care is very expensive. So someone basically had to be there all the time. We had to hire aides to come in and help. So what happened was I said, okay, I think I can do this. I think I can take their little savings and so my investment money and be able to create the abundance that we need to pay for these aides and keep them at home. Well, once I set that in motion, and there's a lot of light around love. So there's a lot of love here and attempting to do this. This was the amazing thing, like 12 houses practically fell into my lap, enabling me to create $250,000 a year just to go toward their support and pay the aides at home. I was making offers that were unbelievably low, but I was also guided toward the houses knowing that person really wants to sell or this person needs to sell and what price to offer, make that offer. I've been in real estate for how many years? Since the 80s. And in 2013, these people were accepting my offers that were like half price. I was shocked. As a real estate agent, I was shocked, that they were taking those offers. But it's like life works in unusual ways. And when we use our light, when it was for good, it wasn't a selfish thing by any means. And these people volunteered to be part of that process, I suppose, because they wanted their house sold. I had cash to buy it and they were selling it to me. So
Yeah.
rented those out and was able to generate enough money to keep my parents home for 5 years through the duration of until they passed in 2015 and 2017, I think it was. So
Wow, that's so lovely that you were able to keep them at their home. And I think by
yeah,
those houses lining up that you got for those primo prices, in some way you were helping those people too. They probably had a reason that they needed to get their money out right away. And if you were the only offer on the table, then it was win-win. That was their
it
opportunity
was
to
it,
move
it was
on.
always a win-win situation. I agree, and never wanted to take advantage of anyone, but it was like we just aligned, and that's where your intuition can come in. You just align with what's going to work out for everyone concerned. And there again, it's the light that you put out. And love is probably the highest energy that we have to work with light. So I think anytime we're really looking to create something of a positive nature in our world, if we can just work with that light and love, it really makes a difference. That all sounds really kind of a rosy red, peachy, keen colored idea of life. But in reality, it actually really works. So,
And it sounds so simple, right? If you can take it back to operating from that frequency.
mhm.
And I believe that in this day and age, we are just bombarded with so much external stuff coming into us that we don't get to hold the space for that frequency. We're just all in the hustle mode, right? I'm curious for you, like you have been developing your intuition for a long time. So how do you trust the downloads that you're getting versus what your ego might be trying to fire at you?
Well, first of all, one of the things that I teach and practice is verify how accurate you are. Know your percentage rate. Because if you don't know that, you're not going to be able to know how much you can trust it. So back early on, because I'm a stickler for that kind of detail, I learned to do some remote viewing of things that I could very, very much verify. And I had heard about remote viewing at a conference. I'd never heard of this before, but I was developing my intuition at that time. And this was a way that I could to learn to see physical things, actually see physical things. So I didn't know how to do the protocol of the technical remote viewing that the military used, but I did know how to do hypnosis and intuition and put myself into this deeper inner level state that could see things. So I picked the phone book, and this is when everyone had a rotary phone in their homes. And I just opened up the phone book, picked out an address that I did not know what the house looked like there, but I assumed there was a house because there was a phone number there.
Right.
And I just went into that interlevel state and began to practice that. And what I saw, my first try, what I saw was a baby blue colored house. Knew that was wrong, so I put it over the side. And when I went back in, I could see a small ranch style house, one car garage, dark roof, white or gray siding, picture window in the front, small little porch, that green grassy stuff on the porch with a white wrought iron fence post on the porch, and one tree placed very, very perfectly in the front yard. That's what I saw. Later that day, I drove by. I got two things wrong. The garage was transposed. It was on the opposite side of what I saw, but definitely a one-car garage. The house looked exactly as I had seen it, except that. And the paint was either a light gray or a white. And I can't remember which one I actually saw, but it was the other. But it was very similar to what I'd seen. The baby blue colored house was right next door. Sure enough, it was not the right house, but it was right next door. So it had gotten my attention. I knew it was there, but I knew, oh, that's not the address. It just caught my attention. It was actually quite a bit more interesting than the house I was viewing. And oftentimes when we're looking at things, what is more interesting is what we will look at. So sometimes that happens. But what I did was I took that exercise and I did it. I did 4, 5, 6 houses a week. Then I'd take a day and drive by them, see how accurate I was. And what I found, I was either spot on or completely off. So I had to, and I kept track. And over a year span of time, I recognized I was around 80, 85% accurate on what I was viewing. So by that, I understand I have that 15 to 20% inaccuracy rate. So whenever I remote view, I need to always take that into consideration. It's not a foul proof or 100% whatsoever. And if you hit that one that you're completely off, then you can't trust it. But I understand I can trust it fairly well. And there's a sense inside of you, if you really get good at this, it's kind of like if you speak the words, you either agree with them or you don't agree with them. It's kind of like a truth monitor. It's like my heart will tell me if I'm telling the truth or if I'm not telling the truth. It's kind of like trying to describe something and you realize the words you're using aren't describing it exactly right. So it just doesn't feel quite right. Your description doesn't feel quite right. But if you get the exact words to describe it, then it's like, yeah, you feel real comfortable inside because you know you described it well. So we do that in our regular language, but you can also do that with your intuition. Just speak it out loud and see if you agree. And it usually works.
Interesting. And is this all stuff that's in your spy book?
A lot of that's in my spy book. I have 4 books out. 3 of them are on this topic. It goes all the way back to my first book that came out, I think, in 2005, which is just kind of my beginning, how I got started with this. My next book, With Heart, has a lot of research in it and really fits my philosophy. And then the spy book has a lot of things that have happened to me over the years, but it goes in more detail, more specific about the manifesting part of it.
Right. I'm just fascinated how this links together because I think many people take manifestation as a process that these are the tools you need to try to do without knowing that they almost have this compass within them that is working along with those tools, right? You can't just really grind it out. You're getting the feedback along the way too, which is pretty cool.
Yes.
Think about it.
Yeah. And you can even, as you're manifesting something, you can even go in and monitor where it is along the way. In my book, Spy Your Way to Power and Success, we talk about how things, when they start forming, they kind of form a hologram in the beginning, and then it goes into more of a virtual. Virtual is where those synchronicities will start happening in your life. And it's kind of like signs. It's almost ready to be birthed basically into your world. So there are signs, and you can go in and monitor where it is in its progression and how close it is into coming into fruition. So those are also things, but that's an intuitive process as well. And that's a pretty advanced state of being able to do this.
Fascinating. So are you then guiding people through this in your book, or is that in your program that you have in conjunction with the book?
It's in conjunction with the book. There are some exercises in the book for people to get, started immediately if they want to just play and practice and try some of that. There is definitely some instruction in the book. But the program it's an online course. I do occasionally do an in-person class, but it's a rather lengthy process. I mean, it starts out with really getting to know you because you have to know where your frequency is now and how you're creating now, because we're all always doing this. You are doing it through the frequency that you have at this point. And so many times we just don't take responsibility for that. We don't understand. And also with light, it's like, I like to think of it as we all have light, but an overhead light in a room is non-coherent. It's going to spread itself out all over the room. And so as we go through our day, our attention, our focus, and our manifestations are spread out all through our day. And we're doing this and this and this and this. So it's really scattered. But when you really want to create something, when you really want to manifest it, you have to be like a laser light and create all of those beams of light directed to one area so that it has enough power to actually draw that back into you.
Interesting. I find this fascinating. And do you think that for people, when you're working with them, that learning to trust themselves is one of the biggest pieces of how
Yeah.
long it takes them to grasp the process?
It is very important that you begin to know what that feels like to trust yourself and to be able to move forward. And I always say, don't take too many risks with that, because until you do know, until you can be sure of it. So that means that you need to be practicing it every day. Don't think of it as something, oh, that's a 15-minute exercise I do over there. But think of it as every moment that you're walking through your day can be an intuitive exercise. I teach people how to learn to see the future by simply looking every morning at, okay, something is going to happen to me later today. As an example, because I practice this too, as an example, one day I was looking at something that is out of the ordinary that I will experience later today, that I can definitely verify that I knew in advance. And what I saw were these green little 4-leaf clovers. And I thought, well, that's kind of strange, but okay. I just tuck it away. I don't question it too much. But later that day, I was at this kind of bulk sales store, the big bulky sales stuff. And I was just walking through, not thinking at all about the 4-leaf clover. And I looked down and they have these massive boxes, huge bags of these plastic 4-leaf clovers for sale, which is, I don't know what you would use that for. I have no idea, but they were just all over the place in this big bin. And I'm thinking, well, that's funny. That is definitely out of the ordinary.
But you noticed it. So that's a fun
Yeah,
little test then. You saw something that didn't impact your day. It just
right.
gave you that nudge of, yes, you are
Yes.
online. This did line up.
And that's how you can verify it, you see. This is how you can know. If you can see those small things, then you begin to learn how to see the bigger things that are also coming down your line. And you learn how to begin to migrate toward those opportunities that can be a benefit to you also later in your day. It works its way into those small exercises, work their way into something that can be majorly beneficial to you in creating the life you want. And I would say success isn't about just money. Success is about having a life that you want to live. Many people just want to have a place in the country and be by a stream of water and just have some leisure time and just enjoy life. I mean, that's success as much as being the head of some corporation. I mean, it's all a matter of what makes you happy. What is the life that you want? You have to be true to yourself in that.
Yeah, that's so true. And what do you think your biggest piece of advice would be for somebody to go out and create a life they love?
First of all, I think you have to know yourself to own yourself. So that's the beginning of our course. The very first lesson is to begin to know yourself. And we have many exercises we go through to get to know who you are. Who are you? What is it that you want? How can you align yourself with something that is very, very natural to you? We live in a world that oftentimes we mimic being something that we're not, thinking we're supposed to be that, or have been taught that. We live in kind of a box. So we have to give ourselves the freedom to get out of that box, to really own our power, but also to own our life and to own the life that we really want to live. And no one can judge that but you.
Yeah, very valid. Thank you. I feel like that is the perfect note to end it on here today, but I'd love for you to share with listeners where they can reach out, connect with you, get a copy of one of your books.
Absolutely. Well, it's Linda Eastburn. That's EASTBURN, lindaeastburn.com. That's my website. You can also go to Amazon, pick up my books there. Just put in Linda Eastburn, you'll find them. And also you can connect with me on Facebook. That's a real easy way to get to, just Linda Eastburn on Facebook. I'm happy to talk with you and interact with you, and all the things I have going on are usually posted on my page on Facebook.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you for hanging out with me on the Manifestation and Money podcast. If you're ready to take your manifesting to the next level, come join me inside the Manifestation Playground. It's an intentional space I've created to explore, experiment, and expand your manifestation potential. It's where the magic happens. So head on over to www.manifestationplayground.ca to find out more. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep taking aligned action. Cheers to creating a life you love.